The twin suns of Vakara Prime cast long shadows across the scorched plains as Korthal emerged from the canyon's edge. His massive form, standing nearly 3 meters tall, was a testament to the Vakari species' evolution as apex predators. Obsidian scales rippled across his muscular frame, and his 4 amber eyes blazed with fury that had been building for 6 standard months. 6 months since the ambush. 6 months since the slave traders had left him for dead in the radioactive wastes. 6 months since he'd last seen his cubs. The tracking beacon embedded in his genetic code had led him here, to this human settlement on the frontier. Humans, the galaxy's most unpredictable species. Some were merchants, some were warriors, some were slavers. Korthal's taloned hand gripped the plasma blade at his hip, the weapon humming to life with a sound like grinding bones. He had heard the rumors during his recovery. A human had taken his cubs, his legacy, his reason for surviving the impossible. The settlement was small, typical of human frontier colonies, prefabricated structures surrounded by defensive barriers, hydroponic gardens struggling against Vakara's harsh soil. Korthal's keen senses detected no heavy weaponry, no military presence, just civilians, easy prey. He vaulted over the barrier with predatory grace, landing in the compound's center with a thunderous impact that cracked the ferrocrete beneath his feet. Colonists scattered, screaming in terror. Good. Let them fear. Let them know what it meant to steal from a Vakari Alpha. Where are my cubs? His voice was a guttural roar that shook the windows of nearby structures. A door burst open from the largest habitat dome, and Korthal's blade rose instinctively. But what emerged froze the ancient warrior in his tracks. 2 small figures bounded out, cubs barely reaching his knee height. Their scales were still soft, their eyes bright with innocence. His cubs, Kira and Thane, alive, healthy, growing strong, but they weren't running to him. "Mama, Mama!" they cried in perfect human standard, their young voices filled with panic, not for themselves, but for the human who now appeared in the doorway. Seren Vale stepped into the harsh sunlight, and Korthal saw her clearly for the first time. She was small, even by human standards, wearing dirt-stained work clothes and carrying a medical scanner. Her dark hair was tied back in a practical bun, and her face bore the weathered look of someone who'd spent too many nights without sleep. But her eyes, those strange, soft human eyes, held no fear as they met his 4 blazing ones. The cubs positioned themselves between Korthal and Seren, their tiny claws extended in laughably inadequate defensive postures. "Don't hurt Mama," Kira hissed, her voice breaking. "She saved us," Thane added, trembling but standing firm. Korthal's blade wavered. His cubs, defending, a human. "Stand aside, younglings," he growled, though his voice had lost its edge. That human, Seren interrupted, her voice calm but firm. "Sat with them every night when they cried for you. That human taught them your language, your customs, your history." She took a step forward, and incredibly the cubs relaxed. "That human nearly died protecting them from the same bastards who tried to kill you." Korthal's secondary eyes noticed it then. The scars. Plasma burns on her arms, a fresh wound still healing on her shoulder. Battle scars. His warrior's instinct recognized a fellow survivor. "The traitors," he said slowly, his blade lowering. "They brought my cubs here?" "They tried to sell them in the black market," Seren replied, her jaw tightening. "I was there buying medical supplies when I saw 2 terrified cubs in a cage." She looked down at Kira and Thane with something Korthal had never seen a human direct at another species. Pure, unconditional love. "I spent everything I had. Every credit. Then I spent 3 more months hunting down the rest of their slaving ring." "Mama's really good at hunting," Kira said proudly, finally relaxing her defensive stance. "She taught us how to track and stalk, just like you would have, Papa. Papa." The word struck Korthal like a physical blow. His cubs remembered him. "She told us stories about you every night," Thane added, moving closer to Seren and gripping her hand. "About how strong you are, how brave. She said you'd come back someday." Korthal's blade deactivated, clattering to the ground. The Vakari Alpha, terror of 100 battlefields, felt something crack inside his chest. Not bone, but something far more fundamental. "You believed I lived?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Seren smiled, tired but genuine. "Kira has your stubborn streak. Thane has your tactical mind. There was no way their father died easily." She knelt beside the cubs, one arm around each. I kept them safe for you, Korthal. I kept them ready. The alpha moved forward slowly, carefully, as if approaching startled prey. But his cubs didn't flee. Instead, they ran to him, and for the first time in 6 months, Korthal felt his younglings pressed against his scales, felt their rapid heartbeats, heard their joyful cries. Over their heads, his eyes met Seren's. In Vakari culture, there was a bond deeper than blood, the Corvuseth, the debt that could never be repaid. To save a warrior's legacy was to save the warrior's soul. You are Corvuseth, he rumbled, the formal words carrying the weight of sacred oath. My cubs call you Mama. They are right to do so. Serene's eyes widened, and Korthal realized she understood the implication. Among his people, a Corvuseth bond meant family, permanent, unbreakable. She began. Mama stays? Kira asked hopefully, looking up at her father. Mama stays, Korthal confirmed. And in that moment, the fearsome Alpha made a decision that would have shocked the entire Vakari Dominion. He extended his massive hand to the small human woman. We are pack now, all of us. Seren stared at his offered hand for a long moment, then placed her small, scarred hand in his massive palm. Pack, she agreed softly. As the twin suns set over Vakara Prime, the most unlikely family in the frontier stood together. An alpha beast, 2 cubs, and the human who taught them all what it meant to be truly strong. Sometimes, humanity's greatest weapon wasn't their technology or their cunning. It was their stubborn, foolish, beautiful capacity to love beyond all reason, beyond all species, beyond all logic. And that, Korthal realized, was why humans were the most dangerous species in the galaxy.